So here I have shape S, which is 1/4 of a solid sphere which has a centre at the point O, which we can see on the sphere here. Over here we're given the formulae for the volume of the sphere and the surface area of a sphere, which we're going to need both of these. They're both going to come in useful for this question. We're then told that the volume of S is 576 pi centimetres cubed, and we're asked to find the surface area of S, given our answer correct to 3 significant figures. So initially here, we're given the volume of S, and S is going to be 1/4 of a sphere. Now, if we want to work out the surface area, if we look at the formula for the surface area, 4 pi is a constant, so we need to work out the radius of this sphere. And we know that the radius is the distance from the centre to a point on the outside of the sphere, on the surface. So this distance here is going to be r. And we need to find r with the information that we're given in order to work out the surface area. So if we have the volume of S to be 576 pi, that is 1/4 of a sphere. So if we were to multiply the volume of S by 4, we're now going to have the volume of what the sphere would be if it was a complete sphere. And it's going to have the same radius that this sphere has, it's just going to be the complete sphere, not 1/4, not a segment of it. So now we can use the formula up here for the volume of a sphere, and we can substitute, we can put this next to this because we know that 4 lots of the volume of what we have, the volume of S, is going to be the volume of a whole sphere. So that's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Now we can work with this, we can just kind of simplify it down and find out what r is in this instance, so we can work out the surface area. So we have that 2,304 pi is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed, but we can divide both sides by pi, so the pi's basically cancel out in this case. So that leaves us with 2,304 equal to 4/3 r cubed. So r cubed is going to be equal to 3 times 2,304 all over 4. And if we cube root that value, we're going to be left with the cubed root of 1,728, and that gives us a value for r, the radius of this shape, to be 12, and the units are going to be centimetres here, although that's not too important in this instance. So now we know that the radius of this shape is 12, and we can use this to go back in and find the surface area. So if I have a look at the formula for the surface area, we know that that's 4 pi r squared, and that's the outer surface area of a sphere, so the curved side, so kind of this side in here. Now we have shape S is 1/4 of the sphere, so we only need 1/4 of the surface area to get this curved side, the surface area of the curved side. So if we do 1/4 times 4 pi r squared, that just leaves us with pi r squared, and that's going to be the surface area for this curved side. But we now also need these two sides here that we have. And as you can see, this line goes through the centre, this is the diameter, and we have half of a circle here. This is half of a circle with radius r, which we've calculated to be 12. And this side here is also half of the circle with radius r. And the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. So we can work with this. So we only have half of the circle here, so we can divide that by 2 to find the area of this face. But then we have another face that's going to be exactly the same area, half of the circle with radius r, so we multiply that by 2, and that just gives us pi r squared as well. So now we can add these two surface areas together. Pi r squared plus pi r squared gives us 2 pi r squared. and that's going to be the surface area of S. And we can just substitute the numbers in, so that gives us 2 times pi times the r, which is 12 squared, which gives us an answer of 288 pi. And it's asked us to give our answer to 3 significant figures, so we need to work out what this is as a numerical value, not in terms of pi, and that gives us an answer of 904.779. And rounded to 3 significant figures, that gives us a final answer of 905. This was quite a big mark question, so it was useful to go through the steps logically and work out what we were planning on doing with this question before we started with it. So as for how the marks are awarded, you'd gain a first mark for using the correct formula for the volume of the sphere here, so multiplying that by 4, making it equal to one another. A second mark for correctly finding r to be 12, or for saying that r is the cubed root of this value that we had here. The next mark is for a process to find the curved surface area, so a quarter of the surface area. And then another mark for finding the complete surface area, so doing this kind of sum to get 2 pi r squared. And then for subbing in the values and getting the correct final answer to 3 significant figures, we gain this final mark here for the answer of 905 centimetres squared.